and a fantastic Friday afternoon to everybody here. Welcome to the Chattering Magpies read-along of The Count of Monte Cristo. Hello, how is everybody doing? Hey, Discord gang, how are you guys doing?
Doing evil.
Everybody spoke at once. All I just heard was Yay saying he's going to be evil today. Okay. What about you, Teal Yukihime? Hopefully you are good as well.
I am very tired. I just did an entire shift at work on my feet, and then I searched like half the city, including like a lot of the mall, because I needed new boots. And so I at least figured out and found them, and I hope they're gonna be good until spring.
Sweet. Thank you for joining us, even though you had a very long day. But I hope this gets you started on a positive note. Your weekend. How about you, Teal? Can you speak, Teal? How are you doing, Teal?
I ride around in my body like I stole it.
Oh, yes. Look at you living life intensely. Love it. Thank you for including us in that movie of your life and joining us here for some Count of Monte Cristo. So it's Friday, as you guys know, and it's been raining so hard here in California. There was flooding on the streets in my neighborhood. Several of the nearby lakes that are in the parks, they overflowed, so it's intense. But the weather is great. It's chilly, the skies are clear, and I am going to enjoy my weekend. So I hope that you guys are also ready for that too. And I hope that you are also caught up with us with the Count of Monte Cristo. But if you aren't, Yay is always helpful and ready to let us know what is going on. But before that, Yay, thank you so much for already putting the summary on the chat. I just want to say hello to those on the YouTube chat as they are trickling in little by little. Let's see, we have Teal. Yes, Teal says we're alive. And Red Tempest is calling me out for being 5 minutes late. Please excuse me. We're all doing our best. I think it was collectively we were all just kind of like getting ready slowly. We were picking out roles. Okay, so Red, if you're available and you want to read, hop on in. We have some roles. And so, I mean, we have roles aplenty. I can give you one of mine if you want. I'm not volunteering any of the other people's because I think they'll do great, but I can volunteer some of mine if you want. Let's see. Yeah, and we did duel to the death for Maximilian's role here, so... Kidding. Everybody behaves very, very well. Alright. So... I've been thinking about how we're going to do it from now on. If we're going to do 2 chapters a read-along to catch up. Teal, what do you think? Should we continue to do like 1 chapter per read? That's a good pace, no? Even though it's only going to be once a week.
Yeah, certain ones of them are significantly long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure we can continue to do 2 when they're shorter, but it depends how much time everyone has.
That is true. Yeah, so just wanted to check in on you guys because as I mentioned in the last read-along, unfortunately our Wednesday lives, I'm gonna have to stop them for now, just because, you know, something that apparently I have to do, which is called adulting and work. It feels so strange not to have that flexibility to do this, but oh well. It is what it is, you guys.
It's important to do adulting.
It is important to do adulting, as much as we hate it.
Yeah. Get that bag, Macboy.
Oh man, I don't like it, but oh well, too bad. So yeah, and so we're going to continue.
Then we can segue into mentioning the fact that if anybody wants to support their magpie so she can do more live streams, then they can join our Discord by subscribing to the main channel called the Chattering Magpie.
Lovely. Thank you for that segue. Yes, if you want to continue to support Magpie and get her out of her corporate drudgery, then yeah, you know what to do. All right. So let us. I mean, it's still it's part-time. It's not like full-time, but it's still like detracts from my flexibility, which I really, really appreciate. But oh well. Gonna do my best. So luckily though, Fridays are still a go. I really wanted to keep Friday read-alongs because I don't know, I'm really enjoying reading this book with you guys. I have never read it. You know, I watched the 2 movies, and so I'm like, I have an idea. But so far the book has surprised me so pleasantly. Like I was like, wow, like he's really like pulling out these surprises. I thought I knew the story. No. So if you guys haven't yet listened to all of these, you should give yourself, like, anytime you have a long trip, just catch up. And it's really worth going into it and reading how the book has it. So good recommendations so far, Teal. So far.
Yes, let's see how you feel, chapter 117.
I don't know. I think it's proven itself for the past 39 chapters. I'm confident that it will not easily like disappoint. So yay.
Yeah, we're like a third of the way into the book. It's good.
A third of the way. Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Okay. So that being said, we should probably get started, and I think it might be a long chapter since it's a biggie. A lot of people are coming in, and knowing Dumas's flair for description and characterization, it might be long. So let's just get started, but not before we kind of catch up, and a quick TLDR for those that didn't join us in the last read. So do you want to
Yep.
catch us up? Yay, thank you.
Alrighty. Last time on the Count of Monte Cristo, Albert profusely thanked the Count for his timely intervention with Luigi Vampa, offering whatever he could to help the Count at a later date. The Count immediately took him up on the offer, requesting merely that Albert introduce him to Parisian high society in 3 months' time. Albert was all too happy to oblige. However, Franz, knowing more about the Count's less-than-reputable ties, tried to convince Albert to avoid the Count. Franz went so far as to tell the entire story as he knew it, of his interacting with Sinbad and the Count. Albert, however, rebuffed the concerns, ultimately pointing out that he had little choice, since the Count had done so much for him, and that he would be seen as a terrible sort not to repay the kindness. Even Franz was unable to dispute this. 3 months later, Albert prepared for breakfast on May the 12th at 10:30 a.m., when the Count was set to arrive to introduce him to some of the people he knew in society. To his friends, he spoke of the Count as a man unlike any they knew. Find out how right Albert is today on The Count of Monte Cristo.
Thank you, Yay. That perfectly sums it up. So I hope you're ready. I am ready, everybody. Today, reading are the following folks. We have, of course, a fine group. For this chapter, we have Count of Monte Cristo and all of the roles that he plays. Dante's the Traveler, the Englishman, Abbé, Sinbad, etc., etc. will be read by Yay82. Patrick, wherever you are, we miss you, and may you have safe travels. Yay will take the role that you usually nab, so yay. Thank you. Monsieur Beauchamp will be read by me, Magpie, and Albert Morcerf will be Yay82. Lucien Debray is going to be Teal. Germaine will be Magpie. Monsieur de Chateau Renaud will be Yukihime. Maximilien Morel is going to be Yukihime, and all the guests are also going to be Yukihime. And of course, a huge thank you to our highlighter MVP, the one and only Teal. Right. Let us then get started. Chapter 40. The Breakfast. I'm Bouchamp. Sorry. And what sort of persons do you expect to breakfast? Said Bouchamp.
A gentleman and a diplomatist.
Then we shall have to wait 2 hours for the gentleman, and 3 for the diplomatist. I shall come back to dessert. Give me some strawberries, coffee, and cigars. I shall take a cutlet on my way to the chamber.
Hello?
We're cut off.
Oh, me? I was cut off?
Yeah, you cut off as soon as you started speaking.
Oh, should we from then we shall have to wait? All right, okay.
Yeah.
Let's
Go ahead.
do it from the top.
From the top.
From the top. Chapter 40.
With passion.
Chapter
Take
40.
two.
Take 2, right? Chapter 40. The Breakfast. And what sort of persons do you expect to breakfast? Said Bouchamp.
A gentleman and a diplomatist.
Then we shall have to wait 2 hours for the gentleman, and 3 for the diplomatist. I shall come back to dessert. Give me some strawberries, coffee, and cigars. I shall take a cutlet on my way to the chamber.
Do not do anything of the sort. For were the gentleman a Montmorcian, and the diplomatist a Mertonac, we will breakfast at 11. In the meantime, follow Debray's example and take a glass of sherry and a biscuit.
Be it so. I will stay. I must do something to distract my thoughts.
You are like Debray, and it seems to me when the minister is out of spirits, the opposition ought to be joyous.
You do not know with what I am threatened. I shall hear this morning that Monsieur Danglars makes a speech at the Chamber of Deputies, and all his wives this evening. I shall hear the tragedy of a peer of France. The devil take the constitutional government, and since we've had our choice, as they say at least, how could we choose that?
I understand. You must lay in a stock of hilarity.
Do not run down Monsieur Danglars' speeches. He votes for you, for he belongs to the opposition.
Pardieu, that is exactly the worst of all. I am waiting until you send him to speak at the Luxembourg, to laugh at my ease.
My dear friends, it is plain that the affairs of Spain are settled, for you are most desperately out of humor this morning. Recollect that Parisian gossip has spoken of a marriage between myself and Milly, Eugene Danglars. I cannot in conscience, therefore, let you run down the speeches of a man who will one day say to me, Viscount, you know I gave my daughter 2 millions.
This marriage will never take place. The king has made him a baron, and can make him a peer. But he cannot make him a gentleman, and the Count of Morcerf is too aristocratic to consent, for the paltry sum of 2 million francs to a mésalliance. The Viscount of Morcerf can only wed a marchioness.
But 2 million francs makes a nice little sum.
It is the social capital of a theatre on the boulevard, or a railroad from the Jardin des Plantes to la Repay.
Never mind what he says, Morcerf. Do you marry her? You marry a money-bag label, it is true. Well, but what does that matter? It is better to have a blazon less and a figure more on it. You have 7 martlets on your arms. Give 3 to your wife. You will still have 4. That is 1 more than Monsieur de Guise had, who so nearly became King of France, and whose cousin was Emperor of Germany.
On my word, I think you are right, Lucien.
To be sure. Besides, every millionaire is as noble as a bastard. That is, he can be.
Do not say that, Debray, returned Beauchamp, laughing. For there is Chateau Renaud, who, to cure you of your mania for paradoxes, will pass the sword of Renaud de Montalban, his ancestor, through your body.
He will sully it then, for I am low, very low.
Oh, heavens! The minister quotes Béranger. What shall we come to next? Monsieur de Chateau Renaud, Monsieur Maximilien Morel, said the servant, announcing 2 fresh guests. Now then, to breakfast, said Beauchamp. For I remember you told me you only expected 2 persons, Albert.
Morel. Morel, who was he?
But before he had finished, Monsieur de Chateau Renaud, a handsome young man of 30, gentleman all over, that is, with the figure of a Guiche and the wit of a Mortemart, took Albert's hand.
My dear Albert, let me introduce to you Monsieur Maximilien Morel, captain of Safis, my friend, and what is more, however the man speaks for himself, my preserver. Salute, my hero Viscount.
And he stepped on one side to give place to a young man of refined and dignified bearing, with large and open brow, piercing eyes, and black moustache, whom our readers have already seen at Marseille under circumstances sufficiently dramatic not to be forgotten. A rich uniform, half French, half Oriental, set off his graceful and stalwart figure, and his broad chest was decorated with the Order of the Legion of Honor. The young officer bowed with easy and elegant politeness.
Monsieur, the Count of Chateau Renaud now knew how much pleasure this introduction would give me. You are his friend. Be ours also.
Well said, and pray that if you should ever be in a similar predicament, he may do as much for you as he did for me.
What has he done?
Tell me then.
Yes.
Oh, nothing worth speaking of. Monsieur de Chateau Renaud exaggerates.
Not worth speaking of. Life is not worth speaking of. That is rather too philosophical on my word, Morel. It is very well for you, who risk your life every day, but for me, who only did so once.
We gather from all this, Baron, that Captain Morel saved your life?
Exactly so.
On what occasion? Asked Beauchamp.
Beauchamp, my good fellow, you know I am starving. Do not set him off on some long story.
Well, I do not prevent your sitting down to table. Chateau Renaud can tell us while we eat our breakfast.
Gentlemen, it is only 10:15, and I expect someone else.
Ah, true, a diplomatist.
Diplomat or not, I don't know. I only know that he charged himself on my account with a mission, which he terminated so entirely to my satisfaction that, had I been king, I should have instantly created him knight of all my orders, even had I been able to offer him the golden fleece and the garter.
Well, since we are not to sit down to table, take a glass of sherry and tell us all about it.
You all know I had the fancy of going to Africa. It is a road your ancestors have traced for you.
Yes, but I doubted your object was like this, to rescue the Holy Sepulchre.
You are quite right, Beauchamp. It was only to fight as an amateur. I cannot bear dueling ever since 2 seconds, whom I had chosen to arrange an affair, forced me to break the arms of one of my best friends, one whom you all know, poor Franz Epinay.
Ah, true. You did fight some time ago. About what?
The devil take me if I remember, but I recollect perfectly one thing, that being unwilling to let such talents as mine slip, I wished to try upon the Arabs the new pistols that had been given to me. In consequence, I embarked for Oran and went for thence to Constantine, where I arrived just in time to witness the rising of the siege. I retreated with the rest for 8 and 40 hours. I endured the rain during the day and the cold during the night tolerably well, but the third morning my horse died of cold. Poor brute, accustomed to be covered up and to have a stove in the stable, the Arabian finds himself unable to bear 10 degrees of cold in Arabia.
That's why you want to purchase my English horse. You think he will bear the cold better.
You are mistaken, for I have made a vow never to return to Africa.
You were very much frightened then.
Well, yes, and I had good reason to be so. I was retreating on foot, for my horse was dead. 6 Arabs came up, full gallop, to cut off my head. I shot 2 with my double-barreled gun and 2 more with my pistols, but I was then disarmed, and 2 were still left. One seized me by the hair. That is why I now wear it so short, for no one knows what may happen. The other swung a yataghan, and I already felt the cold steel on my neck. When this gentleman whom you see here charged them, shot the one who held me by my hair, and cleft the skull of the other with his sabre. He had assigned himself the task of saving a man's life that day. Chance caused that man to be myself. When I am rich, I will order a statue of Spence from Klagman or Marocchetti.
Yes, it was the 5th of September, the anniversary of the day on which my father was miraculously preserved. Therefore, as far as it lies in my power, I endeavor to celebrate it by some
heroic action. I was chosen, but that is not all. After rescuing me from the sword, he rescued me from the cold, not by sharing his cloak with me, like Saint Martin, but by giving me the whole, then from hunger by sharing me, guess what?
A Strasbourg pie?
No! His horse, of which we each of us ate a slice with hearty appetite. It was very hard.
The horse?
No, the sacrifice. Asked Debray if he would sacrifice his English steed for a stranger.
not for a stranger, but for a friend I might, perhaps. I divined that you would become mine, Count. Besides, as I had the honor to tell you, heroism or not, sacrifice or not, that day I owed an offering to bad fortune in recompense for the favors good fortune had on other days granted to us.
The history to which Monsieur Morel alludes is an admirable one, which he will tell you some day when you are better acquainted with him. Today, let us fill our stomachs and not our memories. What time do you breakfast, Albert?
At 10:30.
Precisely?
Asked the boy,
you will
taking
give
out
me-
his watch.
Oh, you will give me 5 minutes' grace, for I also expect a preserver.
Of whom?
Of myself. Parbleu, do you think I cannot be saved as well as anyone else? And that there are only Arabs who cut off heads? Our breakfast is a philanthropic one, and we shall have have at a table, at least I hope so, 2 benefactors of humanity.
What shall we do? We only have one Monthean prize.
Well, it should be given to someone who has done nothing to deserve it. That is the way the Academy mostly escapes from the dilemma.
And where does he come from? You have already answered the question once, but so vaguely that I venture to put it to a second time.
Really? I do not know. When I invited him 3 months ago, he was then at Rome, but since that time, who knows where he may have gone?
And you think him capable of being exact?
I think him capable of everything.
Well, with the 5 minutes grace, we only have 10 left.
I will profit by them to tell you something about my guest.
I beg pardon? Are there any materials for an article in what you are going to tell us?
Yes, and for a most curious one.
Well, go on then, for I see I shall not get to the chamber this morning, and I must make up for it.
I was at Rome during the last Carnival.
Yeah, we know that.
Yes, but what you do not know is that I was carried off by bandits.
There are no bandits.
Yes, there are. The most hideous, or rather most admirable ones, for I found them ugly enough to frighten me.
Come, my dear Albert, confess that your cook is behindhand, that the oysters have not yet arrived from Ostend or Marennes, and that, like Madame de Maintenon, you are going to replace a dish by a story. Say so at once. We are sufficiently well-bred to excuse you, and to listen to your history, fabulous as it promises to be.
And I say to you, fabulous as it may seem, I tell it as true, one from beginning to end. The brigands had carried me off and conducted me to a gloomy spot called the Catacombs of Saint Sebastian.
I know it. I narrowly escaped catching a fever there.
And I did more than that, for I caught one. I was informed that I was prisoner until I paid the sum of 4,000 Roman crowns, about 24,000 francs. Unfortunately, I had not above 1,500. I was at the end of my journey and of my credit. I wrote to Franz, and were he here, he would confirm every word. I wrote then to Franz that if he did not come with the 4,000 crowns before 6, at 10 minutes past, I should have gone to join the blessed saints and the glorious martyrs in whose company I had the honor of being. And Signor Luigi Vampa, such was the name of the chief of these bandits, would have scrupulously kept his word.
But Franz did come with the 4,000 crowns. A man whose name is Franz de Epinay or Albert de Morcerf has not much difficulty in procuring them.
No, he arrived accompanied simply by the guest I am going to present to you.
Ah, this gentleman is a Hercules killing Caicus, a Perseus freeing Andromeda.
No, he is a man about my own size.
Armed to the teeth?
He had not even a knitting needle.
But he paid your ransom?
He said 2 words to the chief, and I was free.
And they apologized to him for having carried you off?
Just so.
Why? He's a second Ariosto.
No, his name is the Count of Monte Cristo.
There is no Count of Monte Cristo.
I do not think so,
Added Chateau Renaud, with the air of a man who knows the whole of the European nobility perfectly.
Does anyone know anything of a Count of Monte Cristo?
He comes possibly from the Holy Land, though one of his ancestors possessed cavalry, as the Mortemarts did the Dead Seas.
I think I can assist your researches. Monte Cristo is a little island I have often heard spoken of by the old sailors my father employed. A grain of sand in the center of the Mediterranean, an atom in the infinite.
Precisely. Well, he of whom I speak is the lord and master of this grain of sand, of this atom, and he purchased the title of count somewhere in Tuscany.
He is rich, then?
I believe so.
But that ought to be visible.
That is what deceives you, Debray?
I do not understand you.
Have you read the Arabian Nights?
What a question!
Well, do you know if the person you see there are rich or poor, if their sacks of wheat are not rubies or diamonds? They seem like poor fishermen, and suddenly they open some mysterious cavern filled with the wealth of the Indies.
Which means?
Which means that my Count of Monte Cristo is one of those fishermen. He has even a name taken from the book, since he calls himself Sinbad the Sailor, and has a cave filled with gold.
And you have seen this cavern, Morcerf?
No, but Franz has. For heaven's sake, not a word of this before him. Franz went in with his eyes blindfolded, and was waited on by mutes and by women to whom Cleopatra was a painted strumpet. Only he is not quite sure about the women, for they did not come in until after he had taken hashish, so that what he took for women might very simply been a row of statues.
The two young men looked at Morcerf as if to say, "Are you mad, or are you laughing at us?"
And I also have heard something like this from an old sailor named Penelon.
It is very lucky that Monsieur Morel comes to aid me. You are vexed, are you not, that he thus gives a clue to the labyrinth?
My dear Albert, what you tell us is so extraordinary.
Ah, because your ambassadors and your consuls do not tell you of them. They have no time. They are too much taken up with interfering in the affairs of their countrymen who travel.
Now you get angry and attack our poor agents. How will you have them protect you? The chamber cuts down their salaries every day, so that now they have scarcely any. Will you be Ambassador Albert? I will send you to Constantinople.
And the Sultan send me the bowstring and make my secretary strangle me.
You say very true.
Yes, but this has nothing to do with the existence of the Count of Monte Cristo.
Pardieu, everyone exists.
Doubtless, but not in the same way. Everyone has not black slaves, a princely retinue, an arsenal of weapons that would do credit to an Arabian fortress, horses that cut 6,000 francs apiece, and Greek mistresses.
Have you seen the Greek mistress?
I have both seen and heard her. I saw her at the theatre, and heard her one morning when I breakfasted with the Count.
He eats, then?
Yes, but so little it can hardly be called eating.
He must be a vampire.
Laugh if you will. The Countess G, who knew Lord Ruthven, declared that the Count was a vampire.
Ah, capital! For a man not connected with newspapers, here is the pendant to the famous Cicépin of the Constitutionnel.
Wild eyes, the iris of which contracts or dilates at pleasure. Facial angle strongly developed. Magnificent forehead. Livid complexion. Black beard. Sharp and white teeth. Politeness unexceptionable.
So, Lucien, you have described him feature for feature. Yes, keen and cutting politeness. This man has often made me shudder. And one day, when we were viewing an execution, I thought I should faint, more from hearing the cold and calm manner in which he spoke of every description of torture, than from the sight of the executioner and the culprit.
Did he not conduct you to the ruins of the Colosseum and suck your blood? Or, having delivered you, make you sign a flaming parchment, surrendering your soul to him as Esau did his birthright?
Rail on at your ease, gentlemen. When I look at you Parisians, idlers on the Boulevard de Gaulle or the Bois de Boulogne, and think of this man, it seems to me we are not of the same race.
I am highly flattered.
At the same time, your Count of Monte Cristo is a very fine fellow, always accepting his little arrangements with the Italian banditti.
There are no Italian banditti.
No vampire.
No Count of Monte Cristo. There is 10:30 striking, Albert.
Confess you have dreamed this, and let us sit down to breakfast, continued Beauchamp. But the sound of the clock had not died away when Germain announced, His Excellency, the Count of Monte Cristo. The involuntary start everyone gave proved how much Morcerf's narrative had impressed him, and Albert himself could not wholly refrain from manifesting sudden emotion. He had not heard a carriage stop in the street, or steps in the antechamber. The door had itself opened noiselessly. The Count appeared, dressed with the greatest simplicity, but the most fastidious dandy could have found nothing to cavil at his toilette. Every article of dress, hat, coat, gloves, and boots, was from the first makers. He seemed scarcely 35. But what struck everyone was his extreme resemblance to the portrait Debray had drawn. The Count advanced, smiling, into the center of the room, and approached Albert, who hastened towards him, holding out his hand in a ceremonial manner.
Punctuality is the politeness of kings, according to one of your sovereigns, I think. But it is not the same with travelers. However, I hope you will excuse the 2 or 3 seconds I am behindhand. 500 leagues are not to be accomplished without some trouble, and especially in France, where, it seems, it is forbidden to beat the postilions. My dear Count, I was announcing your visit to some of my friends, whom I had invited in consequence of the promise you did me the honor to make, and whom I now present to you. They are the Count of Chateauronde, whose nobility goes back to the 12 peers, and whose ancestors had a place at the Round Table. Monsieur Lucien Debray, private secretary to the Minister of the Interior. Monsieur Beauchamp, an editor of a paper, and the terror of the French government, but of whom, in spite of his national celebrity, you perhaps may have not heard in Italy, since his paper is prohibited there, and Monsieur Maximilien Morel, captain of the Saphis.
At this name, the Count, who had hitherto saluted everyone with courtesy, but at the same time with coldness and formality, stepped a pace forward, and a slight tinge of red colored his pale cheeks.
You wear the uniform of the new French conquerors, monsieur. It is a handsome uniform.
No one could have said what caused the Count's voice to vibrate so deeply, and what made his eye flash, which was, in general, so clear, lustrous, and limpid when pleased.
You have never seen our Africans, Count? Never,
replied the Count, who was by this time perfectly master of himself again.
Well, beneath this uniform beats one of the bravest and noblest hearts in the whole army.
Oh, Monsieur de Morcerf.
Let me go on, Captain. And we have just heard of a new deed of his, and so heroic a one that, although I have seen him today for the first time, I request you to allow me to introduce him as my friend.
At these words, it was still possible to observe in Monte Cristo the concentrated look, changing color, and slight trembling of the eyelid that show emotion.
Ah, you have a noble heart. So much the better.
This exclamation, which corresponded to the Count's own thought, rather than to what Albert was saying, surprised everybody, and especially Morel, who looked at Monte Cristo with wonder. But at the same time, the intonation was so soft that, however strange the speech might seem, it was impossible to be offended at it. "Why should he doubt it?" said Beauchamp to Chateau Renaud.
In reality,
said the latter, who, with his aristocratic glance and his knowledge of the world, had penetrated all at once that was penetrable in Monte Cristo.
Albert has not deceived us, for the Count is a most singular being. What say you, Morel?
Ma foi, he has an open look about him that pleases me, in spite of the singular remark he has made about me.
Gentlemen, Germain informs me that breakfast is ready. My dear Count, allow me to show you the way.
They passed silently into the breakfast room, and everyone took his place.
Gentlemen, permit me to make a confession, which must form my excuse for any improprieties I may commit. I am a stranger, and a stranger to such a degree that this is the first time I have ever been at Paris. The French way of living is utterly unknown to me, and up to the present time I have followed the Eastern customs, which are entirely in contrast to the Parisian. I beg you, therefore, to excuse if you find anything in me too Turkish, too Italian, or too Arabian. Now then, let us breakfast.
With what an air he says all this, muttered Beauchamp. Decidedly, he is a great man.
A great man in his own country.
A great man in every country, Monsieur Debray.
The Count was, it may be remembered, a most temperate guest. Albert remarked this, expressing his fears lest, at the outset, the Parisian mode of life should displease the traveller in the most essential point.
My dear Count, I fear one thing, and that is that the fare of the Rue de Helder is not so much to your taste as that of the Piazza di Spagna. I ought to have consulted you on the point, and have had some dishes prepared expressly. Did you know me better? You would not give one thought of such thing for a traveller like myself, who has successfully lived on macaroni at Naples, polenta in Milan, volan podre at Valencia, pillau at Constantinople, curry in India, and swallows' nests in China. I eat everywhere, and of everything, only I eat but a little. And today that you reproach me with my want of appetite is my day of appetite, for I have not eaten since yesterday morning.
What? You have not eaten for 24 hours?
No, I was forced to go out of my road to obtain some information near Names, so that I was somewhat late, and therefore I did not choose to stop. And you ate in your carriage? No, I slept as I generally do when I am weary without having the courage to amuse myself, and when I am hungry without feeling inclined to eat.
But you can sleep when you please, monsieur?
Yes,
You have a recipe for it?
an infallible one.
That would be invaluable to us in Africa, who have not always any food to eat, and rarely anything to drink.
Yes, but unfortunately, a recipe excellent for a man like myself would be very dangerous applied to an army which might not awake when it was needed.
May we inquire? What is this recipe?
Oh, yes. I make no secret of it. It is a mixture of excellent opium, which I fetched myself from Canton in order to have it pure, and the best hashish which grows in the East, that is, between the Tigris and the Euphrates. These two ingredients are mixed in equal proportions and formed into pills. 10 minutes after one is taken, the effect is produced. Ask Baron Franz d'Epinay. I think he tasted them one day. Yes, he said something about it to me.
But, said Beauchamp, who, as became a journalist, was very incredulous, but do you always carry this drug about you?
Always.
Would it be an indiscretion to ask to see those precious pills? Continued Beauchamp, hoping to take him at a disadvantage.
No, monsieur,
Returned the Count, and he drew from his pocket a marvellous casket, formed out of a single emerald and closed by a golden lid, which unscrewed and gave passage to a small greenish-colored pellet about the size of a pea. This ball had an acrid and penetrating odor. There were 4 or 5 more in the emerald, which would contain about a dozen. The casket passed around the table, but it was more to examine the admirable emerald than to see the pills that it was passed from hand to hand. And is it your cook who prepares these pills? Asked Beauchamp.
Oh, no, monsieur. I do not thus betray my enjoyments to the vulgar. I am a tolerable chemist, and prepare my pills myself.
This is magnificent. magnificent emerald, and the largest I have ever seen, although my mother has some remarkable family jewels.
I had seen 3 similar ones. I gave one to the Sultan, who mounted it in his sabre, another to our Holy Father the Pope, who had it set in his tiara, opposed to one nearly as large, though not as fine, given by the Emperor Napoleon to his predecessor Pius the 7th. I kept the third for myself, and I had it hollowed out, which reduced its value but rendered it more commodious for the purpose I intended.
Everyone looked at Monte Cristo with astonishment. He spoke with so much simplicity that it was evident he spoke the truth, or that he was mad. However, the sight of the emerald made them naturally inclined to the former belief.
And what did these 2 sovereigns give you in exchange for these magnificent presents?
The Sultan, the liberty of a woman. The Pope, the life of a man, so that once in my life I have been as powerful as if heaven had brought me into this world and on the steps of a throne. And it was Peppino you saved, was it not? It was for him that you obtained the pardon? Perhaps. My dear Count, you have no idea what pleasure it gives me to hear you speak thus. I had announced you beforehand to my friends as an enchanter of the Arabian Nights, a wizard of the Middle Ages. But the Parisians are so subtle in paradoxes that they mistake for caprices of the imagination the most incontestable truths, when these truths do not form a part of their daily existence. For example, here is Debray, who reads, and Beauchamp, who prints every day. A member of the Jockey Club has been stopped and robbed on the boulevard. 4 persons have been assassinated in the Rue Saint Denis or Faubourg Saint Germain. 10, 15, or 20 thieves have been arrested in a cafe on the Boulevard de Temple or in the Thermes de Julien. And yet these same men deny the existence of bandits on the Maremma, the Campagna de Roma, or the Pontine Marshes. Tell them yourself that I was taken by bandits, and that without your generous intercession, I should now have been sleeping in the catacombs of Saint Sebastian, instead of receiving them in my humble abode in the Rue de Helder. Ah, you promised me never to mention that circumstance. It was not I who made that promise. It must have been someone else whom you have rescued in the same manner, and whom you have forgotten. Pray speak of it, for I shall not only, I trust, relate the little I do know, but also a great deal I do not know. It seems to me that you played a sufficiently important part to know as well as myself what had happened. Well, you promise me, if I tell all I know, to relate in your turn all that I do not know? That is fair. Well, for 3 days I believed myself the object of the attentions of a mask, whom I took for a descendant of Tully or Pompeia. Well, I was simply the object of the attentions of a contadina, and I say contadina to avoid saying peasant girl. What I know is that, like a fool, a greater fool than he whom I spoke just now, I mistook this peasant girl, a young bandit of 15 or 16, with a beardless chin and slim waist, and who, just as I was about to imprint a chaste salute on his lips, placed a pistol to my head, and, aided by 7 or 8 others, dragged me to the catacombs of Saint Sebastian, where I found a highly educated brigand chief perusing Caesar's commentaries, and who deigned to leave off reading to inform me that, unless next morning, before 6 o'clock, 4,000 piastres were paid into his account at the banker's, at 6:15, I should have ceased to exist. The letter is still to be seen, for it is in Franz d'Epinay's possession, signed by me, and with a postscript of Monsieur Luigi Vampa. This is all I know, but I know not, Count, how you contrive to inspire so much respect in the bandits of Rome, who ordinarily have so little respect for anything. I assure you, Franz and I were lost in admiration. Nothing more simple. I had known the famous Vampa for more than 10 years. When he was quite a child and only a shepherd, I gave him a few gold pieces for showing me my way, and he, in order to repay me, gave me a poniard, the hilt of which he had carved with his own hand, and which you may have seen in my collection of arms. In after years, whether he had forgotten this interchange of presents, which ought to have cemented our friendship, or whether he did not recollect me, he sought to take me. But, on the contrary, it was I who captured him and a dozen of his band. I might have handed him over to Roman justice, which is somewhat expeditious, and which would have been particularly so with him. But I did nothing of the sort. I suffered him and his band to depart.
With the condition that they should sin no more. I see they kept their promise.
No, monsieur. Upon the simple condition that they should respect myself and my friends. Perhaps what I am here to say may seem strange to you, who are socialists and vaunt humanity and your duty to your neighbor. But I never seek to protect a society which does not protect me, and which I will even say generally occupies itself about me only to injure me, and thus by giving them a low piece of my esteem, and preserving a neutrality towards them, it is society and my neighbor who are indebted to me.
Bravo! You are the first man I ever met sufficiently courageous to preach egotism. Bravo, Count! Bravo!
It is frank, at least. But I am sure that the Count does not regret having once deviated from the principles he has so boldly avowed.
How have I deviated from those principles, monsieur?
Asked Monte Cristo, who could not help looking at Morel with so much intensity that 2 or 3 times the young man had been unable to sustain that clear and piercing glance.
Why, it seems to me that in delivering Monsieur de Morcerf, whom you did not know, you did good to your neighbor and to society.
Of which he is the brightest ornament, said Beauchamp, drinking off a glass of champagne.
My dear Count, you are at fault. You, one of the most formidable logicians I know, and you must see it clearly proved that instead of being an egotist, you are a philanthropist. You call yourself an Oriental, a Levantine, a Maltese, an Indian, a Chinese. Your family name is Monte Cristo. Sinbad the sailor is your baptismal appellation, and yet the first day you set foot in Paris, you instinctively display the greatest virtue, or rather the chief defect, of us eccentric Parisians. That is, you assume the vices you have not, and conceal the virtues you possess. My dear Viscount, I do not see in all I have done anything that merits, either from you or these gentlemen, the pretended eulogies I receive. You were no stranger to me, for I knew you from the time when I gave up 2 rooms for you, invited you to breakfast with me, lent you one of my carriages, witnessed the carnival in your company, and saw with you from a window in the Piazza del Popolo the execution that affected you so much that you nearly fainted. I will appeal to any of these gentlemen. Could I leave my guest in the hands of a hideous bandit, as you term them? Besides, you know I had the idea that you could introduce me into some of the Parisian salons when I came to France. You might some time ago have looked upon this resolution as a vague project, but today you see it was a reality, and you must submit to it under penalty of breaking your word. I will keep it, but I fear that you will be much disappointed. accustomed as you are to picturesque events and fantastic horizons. Amongst us, you will not meet with any of those episodes with which your adventurous existence has so familiarized you. Our Chimbrisno is Mortemart, our Himalayan is Mount Velarine, our great desert is the plain of Grinnell, where they are now boring an artisanal well to water the caravans. We have plenty of thieves, though not so many as is said. But these thieves stand in far more dread of a policeman than a lord. France is a prosaic, and Paris a so civilized a city that you will not find in its 85 departments, I say 85 because I do not include Corsica, you will not find, then, in these 85 departments a single hill on which there is not a telegraph, or a grotto in which the commissary of police has not put up a gas lamp. There is but one service I can render you, and for that I place myself entirely at your orders. That is, to present, or make my friends present, you everywhere. Besides, you have no need of anyone to introduce you. With your name and your fortune and your talent, you can present yourself everywhere, and be well received. I can be useful in one way only. If knowledge of Parisian habits, of the means of rendering yourself comfortable, or of the bazaars can assist, you may depend upon me to find you a fitting dwelling here. I do not dare offer to share my apartments with you, as I shared yours in Rome. I, who do not profess egotism, but am yet egotist par excellence. For, except myself, these rooms would not hold a shadow more, unless the shadow were feminine. Ah, that is a most conjugal reservation. I recollect that at Rome you said something of a projected marriage. May I congratulate you? The affair is still in projection.
And he who says in projection means already decided.
No, my father is most anxious about it, and I hope ere long to introduce you. If not my wife, at least to my betrothed, Mademoiselle Eugene Danglars. Eugene Danglars? Tell me, is her father not Baron Danglars? Yes, a baron of new creation. What matter? If he has rendered the state service which merits this distinction?
Enormous ones, answered Beauchamp. Although, in reality a liberal, he negotiated a loan of 6 millions for Charles X. In 1829, who made him a baron and chevalier of the Legion of Honor, so that he wears the ribbon, not as you would think in his waistcoat pocket, but at his buttonhole.
Beauchamp, keep that for the concert or the chevre vive, but spare my future father-in-law before me. You just now spoke his name as if you knew the Baron. I do not know him, but I shall probably soon make his acquaintance, for I have a credit opened with him by the house of Richard and Blount of London, Arstine and Escos of Vienna, and Thomas and French at Rome.
As he pronounced the last two names, the Count glanced at Maximilien Morrel. If the stranger expected to produce an effect on Morrel, he was not mistaken. Maximilien started as if he had been electrified.
Thompson and French. Do you know this house, monsieur?
They are my bankers in the capital of the Christian world. Can my influence with them be of any service to you?
Oh, Count, you could assist me, perhaps, in researches which have been, up to the present, fruitless. This house, in past years, did ours a great service, and has, I know not for what reason, always denied having rendered us this service.
I shall be at your orders. But apropos of Danglars, we have strangely wandered from the subject. We were speaking of a suitable habitation for the Count of Monte Cristo. Come, gentlemen, let us propose some place. Where shall we lodge this new guest in our great capital?
Faubourg Saint-Germain. The Count will find there a charming hotel with a court and a garden.
Bah! Chateau Renard, you know only your dull and gloomy Faubourg Saint-Germain. Do not pay any attention to him, Count. Live in the Chaise d'Antin. That's the real center of Paris.
Boulevard de l'Opéra, the second floor, a house with a balcony. The Count will have his cushions of silver cloth brought there, and as he smokes his chibouk, see all Paris pass before him.
You have no idea, then, Morel. You do not propose anything.
Oh, yes. On the contrary, I have one. But I expected the Count would be tempted by one of the brilliant proposals made him. Yet, as he has not replied to any of them, I will venture to offer him a suite of apartments in a charming hotel, in the Pompadour style, that my sister has inhabited for a year, in the Rue Meslay.
You have a sister?
Yes, monsieur, a most excellent sister.
Married?
Nearly 9 years.
Happy?
As happy as it is permitted to a human creature to be. She married the man she loved, who remained faithful to us in our fallen fortunes, Emmanuel Herbaut.
Monte Cristo smiled imperceptibly.
I live there during my leave of absence, and I shall be, together with my brother-in-law Emmanuel, at the disposition of the Count, whenever he thinks fit to honor us.
1 minute. Take care, you are going to immure a traveler, Sinbad the sailor, a man who comes to see Perry. You are going to make a patriarch of him.
Oh, no. My sister is 25. My brother-in-law is 30. They are gay, young, and happy. Besides, the Count will be in his own house, and only see them when he thinks fit to do so.
Thanks, monsieur. I shall content myself with being present to your sister and her husband, if you will do me the honor to introduce me. But I cannot accept the offer of any one of these gentlemen, since my habitation is already prepared. What? You are, then, going to a hotel? That will be very dull for you. Was I so badly lodged at Rome? Parbleu! At Rome you spent 50,000 piastres in furnishing your apartments, but I presume that you are not disposed to spend similar sum every day. It is not that which deterred me. But as I determined to have a house to myself, I set on my valet de chambre, and he ought by this time have bought the house and furnished it.
But you do have, then, a valet de chambre who knows Paris, said Beauchamp.
It is the first time he has ever been to Paris. He is black and cannot speak. It is Ali!
Cried Albert in the midst of the general surprise.
Yes, Ali himself, my Nubian mute, whom you saw, I think, at Rome. Certainly, I recollect him perfectly. But how could you charge a Nubian to purchase a house, and a mute to furnish it? He will do everything wrong. Undeceive yourself, monsieur. I am quite sure that, on the contrary, he will choose everything as I wish. He knows my tastes, my caprices, my wants. He has been here a week, with the instinct of a hound hunting by himself. He will arrange everything for me. He knew that I should arrive today at 10 o'clock. He was waiting for me at 9 at the Barrière de Fontainebleau. He gave me this paper. It contains the number of my new abode. Read it yourself.
And Monte Cristo passed the paper to Albert. Ah, that is really original.
And very princely.
What? Do you not know your house?
No, I told you I do not wish to be behind my time. I dressed myself in the carriage and descended at the Viscount's door.
The young men looked at each other. They did not know if it was a comedy Monte Cristo was playing, but every word he uttered had such an air of simplicity that it was impossible to suppose that what he said was false. Besides, why should he tell a falsehood? We must content ourselves, then, with rendering the Count all the little services in our power. I, in my quality of journalist, open all the theatres to him.
Thanks, monsieur. My steward has orders to take a box at each theatre.
Is your steward also a Nubian?
No, he is a countryman of yours, if a Corsican is a countryman of anyone's. Do you know him, Monsieur de Morcerf? Is it that excellent Monsieur Bertuccio, who understands hiring windows so well? Yes, you saw him the day I had the honor of receiving you. He has been a soldier, a smuggler, in fact, everything. I would not be quite sure that he has not mixed up with the police in some trifle. Stab with a knife, for instance.
And you have chosen this honest citizen for your steward. Of how much does he rob you every year?
On my word, not more than another. I am sure he answers my purpose, knows no impossibility, and so I keep him.
And since you have establishment, a steward, and a hotel in the Champs-Élysées, you only want a mistress.
Albert smiled. He thought of the fair Greek he had seen at the Count's box at the Argentina and Valls theatres.
I have something better than that. I have a slave. You procure your mistress from the opera, the vaudeville, or the varieties. I purchase mine in Constantinople. It costs me more, but I have nothing to fear.
But you forget. We are Franks by name and Franks by nature, as King Charles said, and that the moment she puts her foot in France, your slave becomes free.
Who will tell her?
The first person who sees her.
She only speaks Romaic.
That is different.
But at least we shall see her. Or do you keep eunuchs as well as mutes?
Oh no. I do not carry brutalism so far. Everyone who surrounds me is free to quit me, and when they leave me will no longer have any need of me or anyone else. It is for that reason, perhaps, that they do not quit me.
They had long since passed to dessert and cigars.
Ah, my dear Albert, it is 2:30. Your guest is charming, but you leave the best company to go into the worst sometimes. I must return to the ministers. I will tell him of the Count, and we shall soon know who he is.
Take care. No one has been able to accomplish that.
Oh, we have 3 millions for our police. It is true, they are almost always spent beforehand, but no matter. We shall still have 50,000 francs to spend for this purpose.
And when you know, will you tell me?
I promise you. Au revoir, Albert. Gentlemen, good morning.
As he left the room, Dupre called out loudly.
My carriage!
Bravo, said Beauchamp to Albert. I shall not go to the chamber, but I have something better to offer my readers than a speech of Monsieur Danglars.
For heaven's sake, Beauchamp, do not deprive me of the merit of introducing him to everyone. Is he not peculiar?
He's more than that. He's one of the most extraordinary men I ever saw in my life. Are you coming, Morel?
Directly I have given my card to the Count, who has promised to pay us a visit at Rue Meslay, number 14.
Be sure I shall not fail to do so,
returned the Count, bowing. And Maximilien Morel left the room with the Baron de Chateau-Renaud, leaving Monte Cristo alone with Morcerf. End of chapter.
Not cool, Edmund. You don't keep slaves.
No, exactly. And do you catch that little threat? Like, yeah, everybody's free to leave me. Everybody. But I don't think they'll want to leave me.
Yeah, it is the last thing they'll do, but they can do it.
They can do it. They will want to do it. So they stay. Oh my god.
A little bit yikes there, Mr. Count.
Oh my gosh. All right.
I have to be sincere, and Till, you have given me a heart attack this evening.
Did I?
When it was Thompson and French, I have to confess that I might have dozed off in my armchair, and that woke me up.
That's good. I had a couple lines after that, so you had to wake up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. So thank you, but at the same time, I literally jumped.
Let us not.
Thompson and French.
Yeah. So, thank you, by the way, again for Europe Gang, here represented by Yuki Hime, who is middle of the night over there. Thanks for joining us. Oh golly, so much to talk about. So, all of these friends who are like diplomats, we have newspaper people, we have society people, and amongst all of them, the surprise of meeting Monsieur's, oh gosh, what's his last name? Morel's son, so Maximilian Morel. That must have been quite a surprise to him. And again, it was a good reunion, and it was also good to see that he inquired about the happiness of the people, because he's still right now he's decidedly on the revenge path, but he did like a little detour just to make sure that the people he helped in the back way back then are happy and they're good. So it's like, okay, cool, we're good. That was good to see that, but still, what a surprise to have met them. Anything else about this one? I'm going through the chat. There's several things that we could remark upon. Vampires.
Yes.
Every time I'm here, there are vampires. Is that a coincidence? I think not.
Look at you.
No.
Him being a vampire confirmed.
There's always vampires in this story.
Yeah, it's really neat how like that's something that's just a lore that I don't know if he's purposely spreading the rumors that he's vampire-ish to strike fear and the mystique, but like people just always think of him as a vampire for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's symbolism of that he's boxed away as humanity, right? He's acting as like an angel of vengeance.
Ooh. A dark angel. Yeah. This he also happens to confirm like all of the things that Franz told Albert. Albert then tells to all of his friends, and so you can tell that all of that was basically to bring more mystique and like, ooh, like he's so rich and so mysterious and so weird but also fancy because he's rich. I love it how like twice at least they were like, he spoke with such simplicity that either one, he was speaking truth, or two, he was like crazy or whatever. So he could not be, lying. So he has to be speaking truth. I'm like, you guys.
Yeah.
It's
well.
Mm-hmm.
The real lie isn't something he's omitted from the beginning. His origin.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets to simply say all these amazing things to get some credulity that, he otherwise doesn't deserve because he is a lying liar who lies.
Yep. Now, I think we can confirm that the timeline with the Vampa story doesn't work.
Yeah, kind of.
Because, okay, he had to have been, I don't remember how old he was when he was thrown in the Chateau d'If, but it was 14 years after that. Oh, I guess not.
It does. I think it does work because look, it says that she has. Okay, so I'm basing it off of Morel's sister's wedding. He said she married 10 years. Yeah, she married like 9 years ago, and so it was almost immediately after him having gotten the treasure, I think. So that's when he must have met Luigi Vampa. So.
It is almost 10 years after he escaped the Chateau d'If, currently.
Okay. Wow, it's been a while.
So he just looks young because they're saying he looks like he's 35, but there's no way. Because 35, that would mean that he was thrown in the Chateau d'If when he was
he was just turned 18 and it was 1815. It's now 1838, I believe.
Okay. Well, no, I just mean that if he were 35, then he's been out for 10 years. He was in there for 14 years. No. Was it 14 years he was in the Chateau d'If? Fuck, I don't remember now.
14.
I believe he's about 40.
Yeah, he's in his 40s. Like, lower 40s.
I don't remember them referencing him as being 35.
They said that he looked like he was 5 and 30 in this chapter.
Well, when you don't see the sun, you don't wrinkle.
Yeah,
so maybe he looks quite good for his age.
So everybody,
he's a vampire. He's eternally
beautiful. It's protector.
And he's the protagonist. You got to say he looks good.
Yeah, he has to look good. Plot armor for you guys against age, against bandits. Yeah, plot armor will do great things for you.
I do wonder how he survived so long in Italy. However, I mean, clearly he couldn't eat any of the food on account of the garlic.
Clearly.
That's why he eats so little.
Maybe he just supplemented his diet with some Dr. Pepper. I don't know.
Yes. He supplemented it with Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper, it contains hashish and opium.
Now we know 2 of the 23 spices.
Exactly.
There you go.
The only thing was that the pills or the spices together form a very bad smell. So they were like, when they were passing around the little sleeping pills, they were like, yeah, they kind of smell. But again, the Frenchmen, they were like, ooh, look at this gigantic emerald, rather than, oh, look at the pills. They were more interested in like the expensive trinket, of course.
I hollowed out this giant emerald to hold all my drugs.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure that's why Abbe Faria had in mind when he gave you all of that wealth. It was for you to hollow out the emeralds and, buy yourself...
Give one to the Sultan, give one to the Pope.
Not give one to the Sultan, buy yourself a slave mistress with one and bribe the Pope with the other one.
Faria is looking down from heaven like, this is not what I told you to do.
Oh my gosh. Oh, great. Okay. Edmund, let him have his fun, okay? He's had 14 years of hardship. Let him have this. Let him have his hashish. He deserves it.
Not just hashish. He got his opium straight from China.
Mm-hmm.
He got the finest hash from the Fertile Crescent.
I look forward to 15 chapters from now when he's doing lines.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
Finest cocaine from Colombia.
I wanted to say something about doing lines, but I was like, no. And now you went and did it.
Of course I went and did it.
Gosh. Good thing we're not monetizing. Or sponsored. See, that's the freedom of not being monetized or sponsored. You can say whatever the hell you want, I guess. Unless Magpie strikes you down, because despite it all, I do have some rather principles. Apparently, drugs is not part of the principles, but anyway. All right.
All right, everybody. What's your top 10 favorite swear words?
Stop it.
I got to say bastard this stream.
Oh, look at
There
you.
you go.
That is true. That is true. But it was for for culture.
Mhm.
All right. So we did cover the interesting lifestyle of Edmond Dantes now that he is accepting revenge. We talked about vampires. Yukihime is currently sleeping. What else is there in this chapter that we want to cover? I was actually hoping to hear some of what they ate. I guess I'm so used to like modern day books or even bookworm when they're like, and then we ate this and we ate that and the next serving was this. I was like, wonder what they're gonna eat for breakfast, and I am disappointed. We didn't get any information.
You did mention
that.
oysters.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was.
They also mentioned that breakfast went until 2 o'clock.
Brunch.
Ought to be a French nobleman.
Seriously.
Right. Who says that brunch is only for the girls? Guys also deserve brunches.
I agree. I love a good brunch.
Brunches are bomb, man. So this was a nice little brunch, very enjoyable. I was surprised when everybody just like immediately they took to the Count of Monte Cristo, and there was not a single one that had like any questions about where he's coming from, or like if they had questions, they kind of just like, well, he's rich, he's eccentric, and so ergo it's okay, so they just quickly accepted him. Beauchamp ready to introduce him to all the theaters and entertainment, and everybody else ready to introduce him to society and whatnot. So good job. It's all in a good day's work. Good job, Edmund. Now, the next chapter, you guys, is called The Presentation. And I wonder if at this point, because, Albert had planned to present the Count of Monte Cristo to his mom, Mercedes. Ooh! So I wonder if that's going to be it. I don't know. I wonder. Teal, you there. Do you know?
Of course I know.
Ah, dang it. Well, I'm guessing that it's going to be presenting him to Mama Dearest. It could be anything though. But
Maybe.
We're gonna have to wait until next Friday for that. Unless anybody else has anything else about this chapter that we read, any other remarks or things that you liked. By the way, good job, Yay, on reading both Albert and Edmund at the same, one after the other.
Thank you.
I could tell that you were changing the tone, so it was very good. Good job on that. And to everybody else who read several roles. I think everybody else here read more than one role. So good job, you guys. We did good. Next week, yeah. Next week we will continue reading this book. We will pick up on chapter 41. We don't know if the presentation will be for his mom, like he'll present him to his mom. But there's other people I'm looking forward to him meeting. Besides, the dramatic the dramatic one with Mercedes. Anybody else you guys are looking forward to him meeting here in France?
Any of the people who screwed him over.
I want to see if they recognize him, or if they kind of like squinting, like you do that little trick of like squinting or trying to like, are you not? Another one.
I'm mostly looking forward to Danglars and Villefort.
Oh yeah, Villefort. We haven't heard much of Villefort. I think that he was kind of wise enough to distance himself as much as he could from this sordid ordeal. But we do know that he has terrible suppers. Yeah, which is already a black mark in an already terrible record. So, I mean, at least if you're going to be a villain, give good dinners, okay? Just... So there's Villefort. I'm also looking forward to him going back to meet the Morels, or at least the girl who's no longer, Maximilian's sister, and see how they're doing, and try to see him either fumble about for an explanation of what role he had to play in this whole affair of his family's near ruin. And I don't know. I wonder if Monsieur Morel is still alive. I would like to see that, but it's been, 10 years? Or a little bit. Yeah, it's been a while. So we'll see.
Hopefully he's enjoying retirement.
I hope so too. I hope he's enjoying retirement. And also I wonder if at any point Franz, who we met in the previous ones, he's going to come back to France. We know for sure that he has no intention. He doesn't want to be in France when the Count of Monte Cristo is there. But fate and authors have a way of pulling you into doing stuff you don't want to do, and you have to show up. So I'm hoping that we will meet Franz again and get his little POV to see what he thinks of Edmund in Parisian society. But for now, Edmund, I think, is off to a good start. Yeah. I feel like I talked a lot, you guys. Yeah, and he's like, you did talk a lot. Yep, love it. So yeah, we will see you then on Friday and for chapter 41. Thank you to all of the people that read with us today, all three of you. Today reading was The Count of Monte Cristo, was read by EA. Monsieur Beauchamp was read by Magpie. Me. Albert Morcerf was read by EA. Lucien Debray was read by Teal. Germain was read by me. Monsieur Chateau Renaud was read by Yukihime. Maximilian Morel was read by Teal. All the guests by Yukihime. And Highlander MVP was our dearly beloved Teal. Thank you all for joining us. I hope that you return on Friday as we pick up chapter 41. Until then, everybody, do take care and have a lovely weekend. Everybody say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-o.
Adios.
Au revoir.
As the French have it. Au revoir. Yeah, you're right.